Hello and welcome. Tonight, all eyes on the Supreme Court as all three appeals relating to the 2023 presidential election are to be heard on Monday, October the 23rd. It's a renewal process in the Federal Capital Territory as FCT Minister Nyesom Wike promises a more secured city, also threatens to shut down illegal motor parks. And federal government considers temporary measure for the damaged sections of the third mainland bridge as motorists groan over state of disrepair.
On business news tonight, President Bola Tinubu appoints Olasupo Olusi as the new managing director and the chief executive officer of the Bank of Industry for the first four-year term following resignation of former CEO Olukayode Kuitan.
On sports news tonight, the inaugural CAF's African Football League kicks off on Friday as 8 of Africa's most famous clubs compete for the $4 million prize money.
And from the nation's capital, Nigeria records over 15,000 cases of diphtheria across the country, with Kano State accounting for over 80% of the cases.
And in international news from London, the UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has met Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem, telling him, "We want you to win."
The Supreme Court has fixed Monday, October the 23rd for hearing in the appeal by the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, seeking the nullification of President Bola Tinubu's victory at the presidential election. The Apex Court will on the same day hear the motion by Mr. Abubakar seeking to bring fresh evidence to prove that President Bola Tinubu submitted forged certificate to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. In a hearing notice just cited by Channels Television, the Apex Court fixed 9 a.m. of the date for Mr. Atiku Abubakar's lawyers and those of President Bola Tinubu to address its panel of 7 justices on whether it has powers to grant the request. Channels Television has also learned that the Apex Court will also hear appeal by the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and the Allied People's Movement, APM, on Monday. Also billed to address the court on the contentious request are lawyers from the All Progressives Congress and the Independent National Electoral Commission, who are joint respondents in the motion. They are to argue and cite relevant laws on whether such request is grantable under the country's constitution and the Electoral Act 2022. The documents Mr. Atiku Abubakar sought to tender are the academic records of President Tinubu, which were handed over to him by the Chicago State University on Monday, October the 2nd this year. Now, the 32-page document was released to him on the orders of Judge Nancy Maldonado of the District Court of Illinois, Eastern Division, Illinois, in the United States of America. To the National Assembly, where the House of Representatives is calling for the appointment of more justices for the Supreme Court to fill the vacancies at the Apex Court. The lower chamber made the call during Thursday's plenary following a motion of urgent public importance moved by Patrick Umar from Akwa Ibom. The House is also to investigate the adoption of concrete technology for road construction in Nigeria. Our National Assembly correspondent, Terry Kumi, reports.
It's the final plenary session of the week in the House of Representatives as lawmakers consider a motion of urgent public importance on speedy justice delivery. The House is calling for the appointment of more justices for the Supreme Court.
Aware that the Supreme Court's docket is full for the year 2023, as parties cannot have hearing dates for matters filed within the year, except in election petitions, owing to a considerable volume of matters pending before the court. Worried that the non-appointment of new justices to the Supreme Court has stalled expeditious, effective, and efficient justice delivery, impeded transactions and economic development, limited citizens' access to justice, put the current justices of the court under immense mental and physical pressure, and has affected the policy-making function of the court.
Meanwhile, the House is worried about the plan to use concrete for road construction in the country.
Worried that the Honorable Ministry of Works' new policy on cement concrete pavement adoption without in-depth studies of the comparative advantages stroke disadvantages with asphalt may contradict technical specification, potentially leading to contract breaches and potential arbitration and litigation during a challenging economic time.
In the meantime, the lower chamber is asking for a total ban on the local production, importation, and use of any educational material that contains such words that teach or promote lesbianism, gayism, bisexual, and transgenderism in schools throughout the country.
Nigeria has cultural values. We need to strengthen our cultural values. This timely motion is needed to stop what is going on around the world. We need to stand firm. Some African countries are being bullied to join.
Mr. Speaker, as you said, in our generation, I will get personal and tell you that I moved my daughter from a school whose name I will not mention for obvious reasons. When I found out at the nursery level, they thought it was okay for bathrooms to be shared.
We cannot be importing cultures that are alien to our behavior. So, Mr. Speaker, this particular motion, I wholeheartedly will support it, and if need be, we extend it to our secondary schools and our universities.
Thank you.
The action of the House is in line with the existing law against same-sex marriage in the country. The House is proposing the criminalization of the importation or usage of LGBTQ content in Nigerian schools. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
President Bola Tinubu has assured Nigerians that the federal government is committed to eradicating poverty among citizens through consistent policies that will create wealth and lift the people out of poverty. The president gave the assurance in Ikorekwene, Akwa Ibom State, while declaring open a 2-day retreat on fiscal policy and tax reforms for members of the 10th Senate.
Speaker, House of Representatives, and alternate
senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, led by its president, Godswill Akpabio, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, and other top government officials at the state and federal levels are at the 4 Points by Sheraton Hotel in Ikorekwene, Akwa Ibom State, for a 2-day retreat on fiscal policy and tax reforms.
This retreat will focus on fiscal policy and tax reform. Is therefore a clear demonstration of the commitment of the National Assembly, not only to begin to grapple with challenges of economic downturn, but also align with fiscal and sectoral reforms, including designing an effective tax administration, which our able President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, seek to unveil as part of measure to revitalize and rejig our economy.
Taking turns, speakers at the event are unanimous about its importance and expectation.
Diversification of revenue sources will not only boost our fiscal resilience, but also enable the government to better serve the people and address our most pressing need, especially lifting our people out of poverty.
In view of current economic realities, I consider this retreat very timely and its objectives well thought out. It once again underscores the commitment of the 10th Senate to making laws for the economic prosperity and well-being of Nigerians.
Godswill Obot Akpabio, CON, the uncommon president of the Senate.
The president of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, says the Senate is determined to make legislation to shape policies to improve the country's revenue.
We have not had the kind of elaborate plan that have been put forward by the current administration. That is why this Senate is engaged in this retreat. We must learn how to fix ourselves into that plan and contribute our quota towards the realization of the 8-point agenda of this government.
President Bola Tinubu, represented by the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Olawale Edun, assures of a renewed hope for the average Nigerian.
It is unacceptable to him that we are quoted as having 63% of the population 84 million people defined as multi-dimensionally poor. And he cannot do this all by himself. It has to be a team effort. And of course, the legislature and you, the senators, have a key role to play.
The outcome of the retreat is expected to guide major legislative agenda of the Senate on fiscal policy and tax reforms, reposition the economic fortune of Nigeria.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, has threatened to shut down illegal motor parks operating in Abuja due to the rising cases of one-chance robbery in the city. Mr. Wike made the statement during a media chat in his office in Abuja. He explains that the FCT administration is working hard to curb robbery and kidnapping in the nation's capital.
The first media chat of the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, featured several issues concerning the development of the nation's capital.
Some of them operate these illegal motorbikes.
Insecurity, particularly the activities of one-chance robbers, is the first point of conversation, and the minister is vowing to take drastic action against the menace.
We can't allow some of these illegal motorbikes. People will come up to us, oh, the economy is hard, things are tough, but nobody wants to look at it for a security implication, because we cannot ask who are these people. And so when you clamp down on them, you will see some kind of people, that you don't want people to survive. We know you should survive, but not at the risk of committing a crime. So we're also trying to shut down most of these illegal motorbikes.
The Millennium Tower is among several abandoned projects across the 6 area councils. The minister puts the value of debt at 1.3 trillion naira.
As of yesterday, of all the projects, the total debt, 1.3 trillion naira equivalent. Naira. Dollar, about 1.6 billion. $1.6 million. You mentioned these Millennium Towers. That cost was about something billion. It got to 50-something billion. As of 2020, the certificate of no objection, 114 billion.
Aside the resurfacing of 135 roads last month, the minister plans to do more for satellite towns.
We are not only going to now concentrate in the city, we are also going to move towards the other area councils so that encouragement of leaving the area councils to come to the city will no longer be there. And where are people moving? Because no infrastructure.
The FCT minister promises to make the welfare of FCDA workers a major priority while paying attention to priority projects, which he believes will stimulate the economy of the nation's capital.
President Bola Tinubu has appointed 8 new chief executive officers for parastatals and agencies under the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, including the Nigerian Television Authority, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, and the National Broadcasting Commission. According to a statement by presidential spokesman Ajuri Ngelale, the appointments take immediate effect even as the president is urging the new appointees to innovate and create new opportunities for Nigerians through the effective reform of these key institutions of government. The appointees are Mr. Larry Issa Onilu as Director General of the NOA, Mr. Saliu Dembos retained his office as DG of the NTA, Mr. Mohamed Bulama as DG FRCN, replacing Mr. Mansir Liman. Mr. Charles Ebuebu replaces Balarabi Ilela as Director General of the NBC, Mr. Jibrin Ndache as DG of the VON, replacing Mr. Osita Okechukwu. The President also appointed Dr. Lekon Fadolakbo as the Director General of Arcon, Mr. Ali as DG of the News Agency of Nigeria, NAN, and Mr. Dili Ezuga as Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Press Council. In part 2, after the break, federal government considers temporary measure for the damaged sections of the Third Mainland Bridge as motorists groan over state of disrepair. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live from Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. All eyes on the Supreme Court as all three appeals relating to the 2023 presidential election are to be heard on Monday, October the 23rd. It's a renewal process in the Federal Capital Territory as FCT Minister Nyesom Wike promises a more secured city, also threatens to shut down illegal motor parks. Federal government considers temporary measure for the damaged sections of the third mainland bridge as motorists groan over state of disrepair. And UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has met Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem, telling him, "We want you to win." Motorists flying the third mainland bridge may have to brace up for some inconvenience in the coming days following the federal government's plan to carry out comprehensive repair works on the bridge. However, the Federal Ministry of Works says it will be carrying out palliative works on the most critically failed sections along the Adeniji-bound carriageway on Sunday, October the 22nd this year, preparatory to the comprehensive repair works. In a statement by the ministry, the public is advised to work with the traffic officials while using all diversions as directed and are encouraged to use alternative routes where possible. The Adeniji-bound section of the bridge will be closed to traffic from Saturday, the 21st of this month, to Sunday, 22nd, that's 12 midnight, to allow for palliative works to be done. Let's head now to the nation's capital where Terry Ikumi is standing by for the very latest at our Abuja studios. Over to you, Terry.
Well, thank you very much, Ayo. Let's go to health matters now. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control says it has recorded 15,060 suspected cases of diphtheria in the country. Out of this figure, 9,478 were confirmed cases from 137 local government areas in 20 states, including the FCT. According to the Director General of the agency, Dr. Fedayo Adetifa, Kano State has the highest number with over 80%. Dr. Adetifa made the disclosure at a joint media briefing with the National Primary Health Care Development Agency.
As of today, we have had just a little over 15,000 suspected cases, out of which 9,478 are confirmed cases. And they have come from now a total of 137 local governments in 20 states, including the FCT. Kano has most of the cases. There are now other states, Yobe, Bauchi, Katsina, Borno, Jigawa, Kaduna, that have now contributed cases. And together, these 8 states are responsible for over 95% of all cases reported so far. Age groups that are most affected are the 5 to 9 year age group, which make up 31% of cases, and then the 10 to 14 year olds that make up approximately 27% of all cases. For the first time in the history of any outbreak, diphtheria antitoxin is available in country through both government resources and with support from development partners like WHO. In addition, parenteral preparations of the intravenous antibiotic required for treatment has also been made available through government resources and using WHO to assist with procurement.
On his part, Dr. Shoaibu appeals to Nigerians to get vaccinated against the disease.
The diphtheria vaccine has been proven to be remarkably effective in preventing diphtheria. By ensuring that our children and communities are vaccinated, we create a formidable defense against diphtheria's spread. Vaccination is not just a personal choice. It is a collective responsibility that can protect our most vulnerable citizens and preserve the health of our nation. Like we have mentioned in the past, vaccines are powerful tools to prevent diseases.
Now, 86%, I beg your pardon, of those living in rural communities in Kaduna State live below the poverty line, while only 14%, mainly those living in urban areas, live above the poverty line. This is according to Governor Obasani, who has described the figure as very scary and notes that his administration will work closely with all stakeholders to reduce the poverty level at the grassroots and revitalize the rural economies. Governor Sani stated this during a meeting with all the 23 local government chairmen and 255 ward councillors in the state.
It is a meeting to deepen citizens' engagement in Kaduna State, especially as the state government begins the implementation of its sustainable agenda, which focuses on rural transformation, security, agriculture, infrastructural development, trade and investment, among others. Governor Obasani and his deputy, Mrs. Adiza Balarabe, as well as the Speaker of the Kaduna State House of Assembly, Mr. Yusuf Liman, are present at the meeting with all the 23 local government chairmen and 255 councillors in attendance. The meeting is geared towards getting direct report on all aspects of governance of the people at the grassroots, which is key to the preparation of the 2024 budget and implementation of government programs across Kaduna State. The state government unveils a plan to revive the economies of the rural areas.
The poverty rate in our rural areas is over 80%. In fact, let me be very blunt, is 86%. The implication is that only 14% are living above the poverty line. About 86% are below the poverty line. And the whole intention, our effort, is to ensure that by 2030, by the grace of God, just like the Sustainable Development Goal they are aware is up to 2030, in Kaduna we must be able to reduce the poverty level.
The governor also urges the chairman to hold regular security meetings at the grassroots level to mitigate the rural-urban migration.
Security, in my opinion, is the most important thing we need to look into, because you cannot be talking about development if you cannot provide safety and security to your people. And for me, it's very important. And of course, last time, I remember vividly when we met at the government house, I was able to encourage the local government chairmen to also work closely with some key stakeholders at the local government level to be able to advance the issue of security in their own respective local governments.
The state government urges those in charge of governance at the grassroots to develop uniform programs for the wholesome development of the state.
The administration of Governor Yahaya Bello of Kogi State says it is initiating landmark projects aimed at repositioning the education sector in the state. The State Commissioner for Education, Mr. Wemi Jones, announced this while inaugurating new model schools equipped with modern infrastructure. According to him, with well-furnished tertiary institutions, achievements in the education sector is one of the legacies the administration will believe in for the incoming administration.
Kogi new model college is designed to provide perfect learning conditions for indigenous and foreign students, a brainchild of Governor Yahaya Bello. The commitment here is to provide quality education for students, and this is top priority for the governor.
This is a prototype of what we have, or we are going to have in every federal constituency in Kogi State. As I speak with you, there are about 5 other projects taking place at the same time. This one is completed already. Other ones are at different levels of completion.
The campus comprises of a 3-story building, 18 classrooms, 6 laboratories, and an administrative block with special teachers recruitment for the model colleges with emphasis on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
The critical content of this place that has made it a model school is not far from a dedicated passion to try to reposition secondary education sector and then putting in place some pilot secondary schools that will be a thing of signature to the lovers of education all over Nigeria and the world by providing state-of-the-art facilities.
We had a condition where we will even be teaching and the rain will be falling and the roof will be leaking. At times the rainstorm will pack our roof. I'll be struggling with how to replace them. But in the new facility, we don't have that kind of experience.
The students are not only happy with the environment, but are eager to make the best use of the facility provided by the state government.
I'll see that the level of learning has improved, and you can see that the students are doing far better than what they have been doing before.
It has been great so far, and we have standard and well-trained teachers, and the learning process has increased in a massive way.
In the coming days, the concern of many will be the maintenance of this huge infrastructure provided by the government of Kogi State, but those behind this project believe that with the right people in the incoming administration, maintenance of this infrastructure will not pose much difficulties.
Meanwhile, the Kogi State governorship candidate of the African Democratic Congress, Mr. Leke Abejide, is promising massive employment opportunities for residents of the state if elected governor. Addressing a campaign rally in Ajaokuta local government area, Mr. Abejide also promised to ensure the resuscitation of Ajaokuta steel complex in order to improve the economy of the state.
The campaign train of the African Democratic Congress makes a stopover in Ajaokuta local government area of the state. The residents sing praises for the governorship candidate of the party. Reviving the Ajaokuta Steel Complex is part of his plans to bring prosperity to the state and create job opportunities for residents.
Today, Ajaokuta Iron and Steel, I speak to you as an oracle of God. If there's any power that is stopping you from functioning, as I take over government in 2024 January, I command you to work. Amen. And that power now is being consumed by the Holy Ghost. When I step this land, today that I step here, blessing has already come in. Prosperity has set in. Those of you that are lacking job has come.
The Kogi State chairman of the party extols the virtues of Mr. Leke Abejide as the best candidate for the seat.
African Democratic Congress is a credible alternative at its way, and we always take our time to have a credible candidate like Honorable Leke Abejide, a man who is seen and considered by youth as an uncommon man in our generation. And that has reflected so far in our campaign rally that we begin 2 days ago.
The party plans to take the rescue mission campaign to more local government areas in the state.
Staying with the Kogi governorship election, the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Dino Melaye, has called on the party supporters to go all out and campaign for the party ahead of the state governorship election. Mr. Melaye made the statement while addressing women and youth leaders from the 21 local government councils of the state. He assures the supporters that no amount of intimidation will stop the party from winning the November 11 election.
Ahead of the governorship election in Kogi State, women leaders and youth from the 21 local government areas of Kogi State converged on the People's Democratic Party State Secretariat in Lokoja to meet with the governorship candidate and his deputy. The party considers the women and young people as critical to the party's campaign strategy.
I'm so
confident, comfortable with the fact that we will win this election. So I want all of you to be really confident, double your efforts, and ensure that we win this November 11 election.
You are the engine room of any election, anytime, any day. Your contribution to electoral development is where knowledge. Party, you people have been here, both the youth and the women. You have been here for the party. You have been working for party, and it's well acknowledged.
The candidate reels out his plans for the state and how he plans to turn around the fortune of the state.
We are going to go into agriculture, mechanized agriculture, plantation agriculture. We are going to have farmhouses. Our graduates will be engaged with hectares of land, with implements, with modern seedling, with technology-driven agricultural produce.
The women pledged to work for the party's victory.
Because our candidate is light, and in the book of Isaiah 61, so light has come, and the glory of the Lord is risen, and for Kogi West, the light has come. But I want to beg all of you women that are here, that this election is for the women.
The PDP candidate hopes to take his campaign to all the local government areas in the state, and he urges the supporters to mobilize for the campaigns in their jurisdiction.
On a wrap from the nation's capital, back to Ayotunde in Lagos.
Many thanks, Terry. As part of the celebration of its 15th anniversary, Cardinal Stone, a multi-asset investment management firm, has donated a state-of-the-art solar-powered ICT center to students and teachers of Ajay Comprehensive School in Yaba, Lagos. The managing director and chief executive officer of the firm, Michael Nzewi, says this is part of the company's corporate social responsibility project towards impacting the future of the students. The Lagos State Commissioner for Basic and Secondary Education, Jamiu Ali Balogun, commended the company for supporting education in Lagos State.
Students of Ajay Comprehensive Senior High School, Yaba, Lagos, dance in excitement considering what has come to boost their learning environment. A fully equipped solar-powered state-of-the-art ICT center donated to them by Cardinal Stone, an independent multi-asset investment management firm. On hand to commission the project is the Commissioner for Basic and Secondary Education in Lagos State, alongside the management of the company. According to the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the company, Mr. Michael Nzewi, the project is born out of the need to impact the environment where they operate from, and that this is just the beginning.
We chose Ajay Comprehensive School here in Yaba, as well as another school, Modupe School, where we then approached the schools to find out what was their most pressing need at this time. Ajay Comprehensive said it was the need to have a world-class ICT lab, and we said, why not? We will put that in place for you.
It's a great development, and the teachers and students are already dreaming of the reality this project presents.
With this facility, I can tell you I can have a whole class here, or at most divide my students into two, and make them learn, in a more comprehensible way.
This is a great opportunity for us because we have been making use of textbooks, and through this we can visualize a lot of things.
Being a student, if I enter this kind of facilities, I'll be motivated to learn.
As far as the Commissioner is concerned, this is a welcome development which must be encouraged and protected.
I know that we be able to maintain as promised, and we also will be here to supervise from time to time. I'm very happy my director of ICT is with me.
Cardinal Stone offers an assortment of financial services across several divisions, including banking, securities trading, financing and more. And for them, the future of the world is in this room.
Morning Fresh, a subsidiary of PZ Cussons, seems poised to take its sanitation campaign to new heights as staff of the company observed their sanitation day with a clean-up exercise at the Lukbeju area of Lagos. According to the company, the aim of the exercise is to reduce plastic waste, which is capable of blocking drainage channels, as well as encourage recycling.
Divided into 4 groups, employees of Morning Fresh, including top management staff, are gearing up to hit 4 different routes in Lukbeju. The cleanup begins from the company's immediate environment and then to Town Planning Way, Nestle Road, Coca Road, and Mechanic Village. Traffic management officials are also on the ground as the staff pick waste into bags. After over an hour of cleaning, the teams return to the company's premises for a chat with newsmen.
In PZ, we stand for the environment, social, economic, and the human elements of this. Our brands and our company overall stands for ensuring that we do our business but in an economically sustainable way that meets the needs of the current generation, while at the same time ensuring we're leaving a better planet and a better society for those who are to come.
As we're taking care of the home, we're also taking care of the environment, and which is why we have gone ahead to say Morning Fresh Care. So we clean and restore the environment. In this activity, we're gathering as many plastics as we can in Lukbeju, ensuring that both the society, the homes, and then even the homes of our PZ employees are as clean as much as possible.
Other officials reaffirmed the company's commitment to its customers.
PZ Cussons has proudly operated in Nigeria for over 120 years, so that in itself is commitment. As many of you would know, Morning Fresh is the #1 cleaning brand in Nigeria, so it fits into the whole sustainability strategy. As you know, the environment is important, consumers, our country as a whole.
Morning Fresh has served Nigerians for over 30 years and will continue to deliver functional excellence to be the kitchen expert for you. And also, we're also caring for those who care. And you see, we're caring for the environment too. So we're caring for you, not just for the kitchen, but all around in the environment, making sure the environment is cleaner and safer for you.
Morning Fresh says it will continue to address environmental challenges with purpose. For the company, it means managing air quality and reducing carbon emissions, improving packaging, waste and water usage, as well as making the right sourcing decisions.
Africa's foremost capacity-building organization, Del York Creative Academy, says it is set to change the face of the creative industry in Nigeria with the flag-off of the construction of the Lagos Film City in Ekpe. The CEO of Del York Group, Mr. Linus Idehosa, says the project will be built on 100 hectares of land to shape the future of creative industry, empowering talents in film production and other ancillary services that support the filmmaking process.
Combining passion with skills and building capacity of young Nigerians in the creative sector is the focus of Del York Group as it trained those interested in film production in Lagos State. Del York Group is working closely with the Lagos State government to redefine the entertainment and creative industry with a plan to develop the Lagos Film City in Ekpe on 100 hectares of land, a deal signed last year by both partners. This initiative has brought together the Lagos State Government, Del York Group, and top filmmakers in Nollywood for the flag-off of the Dream Project.
What we're doing here today is to identify the latent talents that lie within the creative industry, refine them and turn them from artisan players to players who will change the face of our industry. And for what this entails, on this 100 hectares, the plan is to have a creative university, to also have some sound stages, to have a place where creatives can live, learn, and work.
Governor Sanwo-Olu, who sealed the public-private partnership to develop a one-stop campus for learning, explains that the project will have global appeal and also boost the economy of Lagos.
We're here to break grounds for the Lagos Film City. We are laying the foundation
to create a hub that will serve as a catalyst for innovation, as a catalyst for talent discovery, and as a catalyst for storytelling and excellence at the highest level in that industry.
For the CEO of Phoenix Global Group, having a film city will elevate the international perception of the Nigerian movie industry.
The rest of the world is definitely paying attention to Nigeria for production, for expansion of the creative space, bringing together the creative space from backlots and pre-production all the way through post-production, allowing the Western entertainment industry and world to be able to have access to some of the brightest and most up-and-coming talent in the world, located right here in Nigeria.
The formal groundbreaking ceremony of the Lagos Film City.
With this groundbreaking ceremony, Doe York Group and its partners are optimistic that the project will be a dynamic citadel for talented workforce in the creative industry.
Business News is up next with Ann Waldo.
First Bank.
Thank you, Ayotunde. Hello and welcome to Business News. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the appointment of Dr. Olasupo Olusi to serve as the Managing Director and the Chief Executive Officer of the Bank of Industry for a 4-year term. The statement from the presidency says Dr. Olusi's appointment follows the voluntary resignation of former BOI Managing Director and the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Olukayode Piton. Dr. Olasupo Olusi has served as a World Bank economist and development finance expert for over 20 years, between 2011 and 2015. Meanwhile, President Tinubu has tasked the new BOI chief executive to ensure that Nigerians operating all sizes of enterprises across all sectors are giving fair and equitable access to much-needed support in order to boost employment and wealth creation in the country. The acting chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, Zach Adedeji, has allayed fears raised by some corporate organizations that the agency's plan to increase the country's tax-to-GDP ratio from 10.86% to 18% will lead to increase in taxes. In a statement today, the FIRS chief, however, explains that the resolve will not necessarily lead to increase in taxes or the introduction of new taxes, as the president is determined to create a wholesome environment for businesses to flourish. He also clarified that the agency, under his leadership, wants to use data to improve tax compliance as it seeks to surpass Africa's average of 16.5% in the next 3 years without stifling investment or the growth of the economy. Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima has met with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing for the Third Belt and Road Forum from International Cooperation BRF. President Xi welcomed Mr. Shettima to China, expressing his appreciation to Nigeria for the contribution to the success of the China-Africa Leaders Dialogue, which was held in August in South Africa. On his part, Mr. Shettima congratulated Mr. Xi on the successful hosting of the BRF, hailing the mutual respect in the relationship between China and Nigeria, while expressing his country's willingness to testify and intensify cooperation with China.
And I want to thank you for successfully hosting this Belt and Roads Forum. Why we respect China is that you treat us with respect and dignity. Unlike some people who want to treat us as kindergarten pupils who need to be taught which candy is healthy for them or not. And we are willing to partner with China for the greater glory of our two nations and our two respective continents.
Let's talk about Nigeria's local currency. The naira appreciated by 1% today to close at 782.68 against the dollar at the Nigerian Forex Exchange market. And that's according to the current data coming from the FMDQ. where Forex is traded and official exchange rates are published. But despite the gains recorded on the official window, the exchange continues to weaken on the parallel market where Forex is sold unofficially. On Wednesday, the Naira was trading at 790.68 against the dollar, while the official rate was 471 to the greenback as of June the 14th, just one day before the Forex unification was announced by President Tinubu. And outside our shores, oil is set to become the single largest export product of the United States for the first time ever this year. That's according to latest forecasts by the Energy Information Administration, the EIA. The EIA explains that the projection demonstrates the growing impact of American oil export and the production on the world oil market as it prepares for record high output for this year and the year 2024. At the same time, the EIA predicts that U.S. crude oil production will average 12.92 million barrels per day. This will happen this year, and 13.12 million barrels per day next year, which will offset some of the organization's petroleum exporting countries and its allies' cuts in the first half of this year. Back home, we head to the domestic stock market. It fell back to negative territory today. The color is red. No thanks to profit taking by some investors. Laddie Williams has the details.
All right, let's take a look at how your money performed today. If you look at the all share index there, down 0.38%. Well, yesterday's close wasn't that convincing, about 4 basis points, but today it's a clear direction there, 67,000, but holding on to that level, 37 trillion still holding for the market cap. Let's look at the trading activity now. We see it's subdued today, red on the screen, all over, volume 291 million units of stocks valued at 4.36 billion, much less than we had yesterday. We see deals losing that 6,000 level. Let's look at sectoral performance. Yesterday, it was gains by banking stocks that lifted the NGX by 0.04%, but today, loss is driven by banking counter down 1.04%, oil and gas unchanged, and we see consumer goods down 0.28%. Widely negative market breadth today with 16 stocks gaining against 25 decliners. Final trading day tomorrow. Let's see if we can get a positive trading week. That's Stock Market Report. I'm Laddie Williams.
And that's business news for tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. It's back to you, Ayatunde.
Many thanks, Anne. Egyptian state media says the Rafah crossing into Gaza will be opened for several hours on Friday to allow delivery of desperately needed aid. More than 100 trucks supplying vital supplies have been queuing for several days on the Egyptian side of the border, with the United Nations calling for urgent help for civilians in Gaza. Here's Samin Puze with other international stories in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The UK Prime Minister has met Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem, telling him, "We want you to win."
I'm proud to stand here with you in Israel's darkest hour. As your friend, we will stand with you in solidarity, we will stand with your people, and we also want you to win.
As the world waits for an expected Israeli ground offensive into Gaza, Rishi Sunak says the UK backs Israel's right to go after Hamas.
We also recognise that the Palestinian people.
But he says the Palestinian people are Hamas's victims too, and welcomes a plan to get some aid into Gaza from Egypt.
To ensure that routes into Gaza will be opened for humanitarian aid to enter.
Israel is continuing to heavily bomb Gaza, and hundreds of thousands of people have fled their homes. This eyewitness saying they are dropping bombs on children's heads. The enclave also remains under siege, with Israel blocking supplies of water, electricity and fuel across its border. Israel says it is striking hundreds of Hamas targets in Gaza. The militant group is believed to be holding more than 200 hostages. The most serious escalation in the conflict in decades erupted on the 7th of October, when Hamas launched an attack on Israel, killing more than 1,400 people. The health ministry in Gaza says that more than 3,700 people in the area have been killed since then. About 20 trucks carrying food, water and medical supplies may be allowed to enter Gaza in the coming days. Israel cut electricity, most water and stopped deliveries of food and medicine to the area following that attack by Hamas militants on the 7th of October. Since then, Gaza's 2.2 million residents have been rapidly running out of basic supplies, but leading humanitarian organizations warn that aid delivery will only be a drop in the ocean. Republican lawmakers say they have been targeted by intimidating tactics, including death threats from allies of Jim Jordan, as his bid for the U.S. House of Representatives speakership falters. Several Republicans told reporters they had been subject to a pressure campaign by supporters of Mr. Jordan, who lost a second vote for the gavel on Wednesday. Mr. Jordan, a right-wing Republican from Ohio, has condemned the threats. A hardline conservative revolt ousted the last speaker on the 3rd of October. The American journalist Alsu Komasheva has been detained after visiting her family in the Russian city of Kazan and now faces charges. An editor for the US-funded Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty in Prague, she was temporarily detained on the 2nd of June. She was detained again on Wednesday and charged with failing to register as a foreign agent, which carries a jail term of up to 5 years. Ms. Komasheva is the second US journalist held in Russia this year. Kenya's President William Ruto has approved controversial legislation that will see the biggest shake-up of the health sector in more than 20 years. His plan revolves around promoting universal health care and requires all workers to contribute 2.75% of their salaries towards a new health fund. The government says it will make health care more affordable and accessible for poorer Kenyans, but it has proved unpopular with many Kenyans who see it as a new tax. The Taliban says Afghanistan is ready for new investment and plans to formally join China's Belt and Road Initiative.
Was a very good result from that.
Here, an interview with the group's acting Minister of Commerce. Since 2021, no governments in the world have recognized the Taliban government after it grabbed power with force. China, however, has been attempting to engage with the administration. Last month, it became the first country to appoint an ambassador to Kabul. And a Polish man has been arrested after he pretended to be a mannequin in front of a window display before stealing from a shopping centre after it had closed. Seen here on the right, stationary and holding a bag, the 22-year-old froze motionless pretending to be a mannequin in front of a shop window until the centre had closed. On one occasion, the man stole jewellery. Another time, he ate in a restaurant before going under an iron curtain at a store's entrance to exchange his clothes for new ones. He was eventually spotted by security personnel who called the police. The man could face 10 years in prison for his alleged crimes. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. In less than 24 hours, Africa's most eagerly anticipated competition, the African Football League, will kick off in Dar es Salaam, the capital of Tanzania, with the opening between Simba Sporting Club and Al Ahly of Egypt. 8 of Africa's most famous and iconic clubs will compete for the grand prize of $4 million. Nigeria's representative and two-time African champion, Enyimba International, will begin their campaign against Wydad Athletic Club of Morocco at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium in Uyo on Sunday. Liverpool forward Mohamed Salah has called for an end to what he described as massacres in Gaza, saying humanitarian aid must immediately be allowed into the besieged Palestinian enclave. Salah released a video message on his social media account, making his first comment on the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict after coming under some fierce criticism in his native Egypt for staying silent on the issue for over a week. That's it on sports. Back to you, Ayo, today.
Thank you so much, Chris. And the main news again. The Supreme Court will on Monday, October the 23rd, hear all 3 appeals relating to the 2023 presidential election. The appeals are that of the PDP candidate Atiku Abubakar, Labour Party candidate Peter Obi, and APM candidate Chichi Ojei. That's the news at 10 tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun, and do have a good night.